At the time of the story, I was young enough to be excited to see Santa Claus, and still wanted my picture on his lap. But at the same time, I was old enough to know he wasn't real. My whole family was at Grandpa's in Chapel Hill on the Friday after Thanksgiving. Our tradition was to go to the mall for all the sales and seek deals out for clothing and gifts. Black Friday is the beginning of the holiday shopping frenzy. As soon as we entered the main gallery of the mall, I saw Santa sitting in his chair with Christmas trees on both sides and boxes of gifts. There were white reindeer with colored lights and sparkling snowmen. Santa sat with rosy cheeks and a big smile, chuckling with children on his lap. He was the perfect Santa, with a twinkle in his eye. Even if it was a fake white beard, I could easily see. I was so excited I screamed to my mom, "Santa, look, Mom, can I get a picture?" She looked at the 10-mile-long line and said, "Maybe later, dear. If that line isn't so long, let's shop now." We shopped all morning, had lunch at California Pizza Kitchen, a favorite place, and continued trying on clothes in the afternoon. I was so tired we rested at a cookie company, Crumble, where I had a snickerdoodle cupcake. As we re-entered the mall, I saw Santa again. This time there was no line at all, so I begged my mom, "Please let me tell Santa what I want for Christmas." We walked over, and Mom put $5 into the tip jar. I ran up to Santa, and he grabbed me roughly under my arms and yanked me off my feet onto his lap. He was squeezing me very uncomfortably and saying, "Cute little girl, touch Santa, let's smile." I looked up into his eyes. It wasn't the kindly red-cheeked Santa I had seen in the morning. This Santa had bloodshot eyes and stained dirty brown cheeks under the fake Santa beard. His teeth were rotted, and his breath stunk like an outhouse. I tried to wiggle free, but he was holding me so tightly against his body. I looked at my mom, who was ready to take my picture with her iPhone. She saw my terror and screamed, "Let my daughter go, you creep." She grabbed my arm, pulling me from his grip. He fell onto the floor in a drunken pool of saliva. His beard hanging around his neck, he staggered off, disappearing into the mall. The real Santa was found unconscious and stripped of his costume, having been mugged on his break. They never found him. I always just wondered what that man's intentions were. For context, I live in a rural and small village with maybe about 10 to 15 houses, but close to the highway, so you can maybe drive there within 5 minutes, and also about 10 minutes away from the town. If you cross the street, it's about a 10-minute walk to reach the forest. It was the first Christmas day. In the afternoon, my partner and I decided to go for a little digestive walk, as we were really stuffed from all the food. It was about 5 p.m. and already very dark when we left, and we had a big and bright LED flashlight with us. I also took my camera and my flashlight, as I love taking pictures of the nature at night. We decided to walk a little country road towards the forest and then turn right, following a small graveled cycle track close to the forest border, which connects our village and the next. In the middle part of the track, you have to walk through a small bit of forest. It's rather dark and the trees are very high and quite dense. When we entered, I saw our flashlights reflecting on something and recognized it as a car being parked there, on the side of the track, close to the trees. This struck me as odd, as cars are not allowed to drive there, and the path is very narrow and hidden. So I was a bit cautious. My partner pointed the light inside the car and it seemed to be empty. I also noticed the windows were frozen, so I must have been parked there for a while. A bit in front of the car, I spotted a tree with an intriguing structure. I asked my partner to point the flashlight towards it, so I can focus better and photograph it with my flashlight. After I took a few images, my partner told me, "There's someone standing behind us in the middle of the road and he's looking at us." Nobody was following us the whole way. I kept looking around and behind us occasionally. I turned around and rest assured there was a man standing behind us, staying out of the flashlight's reach. He wasn't saying anything, just standing there and facing us. At first I thought he might have been startled, as it may seem a bit weird if someone's just taking pictures around your car. I decided to get up and confront him from a distance, explaining to him that I was just taking pictures of a tree. He didn't react, he just stood there. I then went on to ask him if he needed some light, and he replied that that wasn't necessary. It was odd, but I was still calm, sure about there being a normal explanation for his behavior. Nonetheless, my partner and I decided to get out of there, and followed the path leading to the next village. I remembered the letters on his license plate, and Googled it. It turned out that he was from the city, about 6 hours away from the village. Mind you, the country I live in is in a very strict lockdown right now, so you are not allowed to travel. if you have a very urgent reason. After we reached the first lantern of the next village, we looked back and observed the car driving a bit out of the forest, turning around and going back inside. I was able to see that he parked there again and turned the lights off. He didn't leave the forest. We then went home on a much longer way than initially intended, as I didn't want to go back there for obvious reasons. Our flashlight battery died on the way back, and my phone was already low, so I didn't want to call the police back then. But I called them as soon as I arrived home, and gave them all the details. I think I was very lucky to have my partner, the camera, and the light with me. I don't want to imagine what could have happened if I was alone. I wake up late Christmas Eve night. Outside the yard is covered in snow, glistening from the moonlight. The lights on the house across the street were twinkling. I heard a crash across the house in the living room, then a couple of light footsteps on our creaky wood floor. Someone's broken in, I think. I swear I locked all the doors before I went to bed. I slowly ease up out of bed and slip on my robe, tiptoeing across the bedroom. I crack the bedroom door and peek out. At the end of the hallway I see a lit up Christmas tree, star and all, illuminating the living room. I hear more rustling as a shadow appears next to the tree on the wall. I gasp, then quickly close the door. I tiptoe back over the nightstand, behind which I had a baseball bat. I sneak out of the bedroom with the bat raised and walk down the hallway. As I get closer to the living room, I can make out the shadow of the person by the tree. Boots, a stocking hat on their head, and a sack to lug loot from my house. The person is on their knees crawling under our tree now, probably trying to steal our Christmas presents. I round the corner and prepare to swing my bat until I see who is in my living room. The boots he's wearing were black, and with a golden buckle. The stocking cap is red, with white fur. And instead of putting items into his bag, he's putting gifts out and placing them under the tree. Santa Claus. I swear I locked all the doors before I went to bed. Must have not locked the chimney.